would you say
they
that?
wouldn't screw that up.
They're the government. They screw everything up, don't they?
What do we need it for?
Yeah.
What are we going to do with it?
Recycling. Look, I'm not pro-environment exactly because global warming is kind of a neutral topic. Part of it, I think it's all natural. But it would drive the cost of everything down. Plastic would cost less for companies to buy so they could use it.
Well, the problem with recycling at this point isn't that people aren't doing it, because people are doing it. The problem is that they don't wash it enough. So the people are doing the recycling. Oh, now I've got to sort this from that and from the other thing. Pretty soon we're going to have 9 different barrels that we take out to the trash because everything's been sorted in a different way, and we're going to get a fine if you don't properly rinse your pop bottle. That's really what it comes down to.
So, Landon, why would you think the government wouldn't screw this one up?
I really thought they would. They screw everything up.
That's true. Thanks for the call tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Look, if it's valuable, and it is, as I understand it, to collect cans. I was watching the Penn and Teller BS episode about recycling. It's how I learned this, is that some things that are recycled, it actually costs more to create a recycled version of said bottle or whatever the thing is than it does to create one from new product. And there are certain things that are recyclable that are actually financially worthwhile. And it's my understanding aluminum cans are one of those things.
Metals generally are. You can use glass for things like, glass is made from sand. Silica. There's not a big loss of that stuff. It's nice and easy to use. You can get a lot of sand.
Got a lot of sand out there.
Desert, for instance. So glass recycling is inefficient if you have to wash out the bottles and all that kind of thing, and sometimes you do. Now, this obviously isn't true. Back in the day, they had Pepsi bottles and Coke bottles, and you had to put a real deposit down on those. You remember that, Ian?
Nope.
You weren't old enough for that? Okay, so when I was a kid, you would get
in Florida
8 pints of Pepsi or Coke, and you'd give them, I think it was 10 cents per bottle is what you had to put a deposit down.
Okay.
And then you would return those, hopefully washed out, in the same container into this basket that would be at the grocery store or the convenience store.
Yeah, that's way before my time.
You'd just put them right in there, and then they'd rinse them out, and they'd use them again. And you'd find that the paint on these things would wear off over time, but when they decided it was bad enough, then they'd just do the bottles again.
Now, is this a government program?
No, that was the company doing it. Because they found that it was worth
economically
doing.
viable.
It was economically viable because they gave you the money to do it. But then,
and that was going to be my point, was that if it's worthwhile, if cans are worth something, and to some places they are, then let them handle it. Let those people, those individuals, those companies, let them handle the payouts. We don't even need the state governments to be mandating or offering these programs. And I don't know how the state deposit programs work. I'm not sure. I've never done anything with that. But if you want to comment, you can join us here at 855-450-FREE. But we don't need centralized bureaucracy making these decisions. How do we know 5 cents or 10 cents or whatever is the right amount? Have you ever looked on a soda can where it shows different amounts for different states? Let everybody who's buying decide those things.
I can tell you what happens here in New Hampshire. Now, New Hampshire and Vermont, they're little bitty states up here in New England that have been 69ing for 200 years, right? And they, we have little places. Now, New Hampshire doesn't have a recycling program. Maine and Vermont do. But Vermont says you can't crush your cans. So what happens is I can see Vermont from my driveway, right? Yep. It's not far away. People in my town generally that do collect the cans, oftentimes the guys that work at the transfer station, which is our version of a dump, they come and get the stuff from there. They take the cans, they'll take them to Vermont.
Sure.
And they'll
get
the money for them rather than taking them someplace and getting the money for the aluminum. They'll get the return money, which is significantly more because Vermont is getting is giving out extra money.
It's the state government, though, that's doing that,
sure.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, you can't blame somebody for working the system. By all means, if you get paid
No, I don't blame anybody.
You get paid across the invisible line, you go across the invisible line, you get paid for doing the same amount of work.
I don't blame them for it. I'm just saying that clearly there's some kind of rent-seeking behavior going on, ladies and gentlemen. And this does not grow society. This does not make the world a better place. Rent-seeking behavior is what you expect from politicians, lawyers, slumlords.
Our toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. It is the live Saturday edition of Free Talk Live. We got more draft conversation, more selective service stuff on the way here, and you can join us and bring up anything you want on Free Talk Live.
The final phase of extermination is set to commence now. And as population die-off becomes evident, you know it is the time of punishment in all that is written. The cover for mass die-off is evolution and global warming frauds, also used as false proof of their Christ. They are from the lines that were disinherited 2,000 years ago. Now they claim to be his Christ based upon blood type, DNA, and long lifespan. Go to unveilingthem.com. That's UNVEILING them.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
Free Talk Live.
Wait till you hear the least popular girl's name for 2004. We'll start with Rack. Crumpet.
Well, Crumpet's kind of funny.
Someone named their little girl Willie. Cannelloni. Cannelloni. Lasagna. Tasty.
And Biff.
Yeah, Biff. The
These
least
are girls'
popular name.
names?
the least popular name.
These
of
are all made up,
2004.
folks.
I don't
Do not
care.
believe this nonsense. This is not news.
I don't care. I haven't laughed this much all week.
Oh.
This may be my favorite. Rumpy Pumpy. Now, how could you think that one up? I mean, if you were faking this list, I could understand that you could fake Donald Duck or Scrooge or pork. But how do you think of Rumpy Pumpy?
Rumpy Pumpy.
RUMPEPUMPEE. Rumpy Pumpy.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
Radio is the most personal of mediums. I exist right now in your head. If you listen to Free Talk Live regularly, you know me. Free Talk Live is on more than 160 radio stations around the U.S. and has been downloaded on every continent around the world. Hundreds of thousands of listeners with ad packages from $600 a month to $6,000 a month. Imagine what we can do for your business, project, website, or idea. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phone, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Hi, I'm Derek J. I don't want a politician to represent me. To me, government is the idea that one group of people can coerce everyone to comply with an edict or face increasing punishments up to and including death. Despite perhaps the most noble of intentions, the best government services are a far cry from what could be provided for by voluntary interactions. Besides, the people who call themselves the government wage wars and put peaceful people in jail for crimes involving no victims. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 641-552-5046. That's 641-552-5046.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial in toll free and join us here. Our number, 855-450-FREE. Live Saturday edition continues here. 855-450-3733. We've got more on the way about the draft. The Selective Service may be requiring women to register when they turn 18.
If you've missed the healthcare deadline and you don't have any form of healthcare right now and you're likely to get fined, well, Liberty Health Share has an answer. Liberty Health Share offers an affordable healthcare option that allows Americans to enroll any time of the year. For those of you who already have enrolled but you're just not satisfied with your purchase for whatever reason, Liberty Health Share allows Americans to control, manage, and direct their health care, yet still be in good standing with the Affordable Care Act. Members are exempt, for those of you that don't know, that's Obamacare. Members are exempt from the tax penalty and mandates imposed on individuals for not having health and care insurance, thus giving you freedom from insurance. Liberty Health Share empowers their members by giving them the ability to choose any doctor, hospital, or across the nation. Plus, you don't have to pay for any services that other people get that you don't agree with morally. Memberships are for individuals, couples, and families, offering a variety of options to best suit an individual's medical needs. If you're a freedom-loving American looking for contract-free health care, then this is for you. For more information on how to enroll any time of the year, call 855-585-4237. Or you can just go to libertyhealthshare.org to request a free estimate. It's not that big of a deal. 855-585-4237. libertyhealthshare.org. By the way, for our family, it was just a bit more than half of what health insurance was. libertyhealthshare.org.
Failing to register or comply with the Military Selective Service Act is a felony, punishable by a fine of up to $250,000 or a prison term of up to 5 years or a combination of both. Also, a person who knowingly counsels, aids, or abets another to fail to comply with the act is subject to the same penalties. I would like to counsel you to fail to comply with the act, young people. Screw the federal government. If they are demanding that you serve them, I say just say no. Let's go to your calls and thoughts here. Joe, listening in Indiana, we'll talk more about the draft here. Joe, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian and Mark.
Well, thank you, Ann. I would like to say that as far as signing up for the draft, that's all fine and dandy with women being in there. The one thing I would like to know is who's going to monitor to make sure that's fair. And the reason I say that is because I did serve my country. I was not drafted, I enlisted, but a lot of people were drafted. And what I've noticed, it boiled down to like senators, House of Representatives, daughters, sons were never drafted. So I'm wondering who's going to watch that to make sure it's fair for everybody rather than the medium income people being the only one getting drafted.
Yeah, there's
That's
a lot
all
of
I have to say.
There's a lot of complaints from those that were in the military at the time of the draft that things weren't equitable at all as far as distribution of wealth. And you know, I mean, it seems fair that if those that are in the lower incomes and those that are in the middle incomes are drafted, then why shouldn't those who are in the upper incomes, especially in the seats of power, why wouldn't their kids be drafted? And you know, I'm sure there's a senator's kid out there that was drafted, but it does seem like it was inequitably distributed.
Well, this is actually one of the arguments that statists will use to argue to bring back the draft.
Because this time it'll be fair.
Right. They claim that, well, you know, let's make it so that everybody has their kids be subject to the draft, including bureaucrats, including senators, sons, etc., or in this case, daughters, will be subject to the draft. And they say that, well, if the senators' sons are subject to the draft, then that'll make the senators and the state or the representatives, U.S. representatives, less likely to want to go to war because they won't want their kids to die. This is the argument in favor of the draft. Go ahead.
They already have an answer for that, and the answer is they would seem more valuable to their country if they did not serve in a war, because that was the answer that I had received when I had already questioned this about 30 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
But
as far as
just wanna
fairness
let you
is
know
concerned, wouldn't it be just more fair to not have a draft and not force people into slavery?
Yes, it would. And besides that, drafting people means you get a whole array of anything and everything, which is not conducive to a good Army, Navy, Marines.
That much is true. Thanks, Joe, for your call tonight. I appreciate it.
It's simple economics. If for whatever reason you need more people in the military, you pay more money. The United States government doesn't have the same problems it did in World War II, where its money was tied to medals, and they could only print as much money as they had medals. Now they just print whatever they want. So if they want to, if this is what they do when they want to fight wars. Now, frankly, I think that that's a despicable use of money. But nonetheless, it just doesn't make any sense. You don't need the draft anymore. It is an anachronism. It's archaic. The only people that want the draft are those that are like, kids today suck. They're stupid, and they don't work. They're lazy. They lay around. They don't do anything, and the military will whip them into shape. Sure, when I was in military, we spent all of our time trying to avoid orders and doing our very, very best not to do any work, but this time it would work. I mean, my uncle was in the military, in the Air Force. He said it nearly ruined him for real work.
And there you have it, where the law is exposed for what it really is, a statute that institutionalizes indentured servitude whenever the government sees fit. That is exactly what military service is, whether you join voluntarily or are conscripted into the armed forces. Now, if you refuse to register, your entire professional life is likely to be destroyed.
Conscription, a synonym for that are slavery and serfdom.
Right, and conscription is another word for the draft.
Yeah, indentured servitude. These are synonyms for conscription.
Any person who recognizes the principle of self-ownership will immediately understand why requiring a person to register for the draft is the antithesis of personal freedom. If you fail to register, you risk your liberty through jail time or the fruits of your labor by paying a fine for committing no crime at all. There is no reason to believe that if women are made to register for the Selective Service, that these penalties will change, and they will infringe on women's rights in the same way that they currently infringe on men's rights. This article isn't meant to doubt the ability of women to perform physically demanding tasks in dangerous, high-stakes environments. Indeed, women have successfully engaged in many different roles during war for decades, as medics, pilots, gunners, female engagement team members, and more. Unfortunately, many people have been pining for equal treatment for women without considering what the actual treatment is and whether it's a good thing for men either.
Right. Let's not have equal slavery. Let's have equal freedom. Okay? Signing up for selective service. The draft is, by its very nature, a form of slavery.
That's correct.
And you can't deny that. But, you're welcome to it. 855-450-FREE. Give me a explain.
You think
it
somebody
to me.
will claim that the draft isn't slavery?
Well, they're going to claim it's short term or it's necessary or something like that.
Yeah, I'd love to hear someone make that claim. 855-450-3733.
But, so you don't want to make women subjected to it. It'd be just as easy to get rid of this expensive, bloated, useless government program called Selective Service that hasn't been used in 40 years, more than 40 years. What the hell do we have it for in the first place? And why do we want to put women in it too?
Somebody's getting a paycheck. That much is for sure.
That is for sure.
Let's talk to Dave in New Hampshire. You're on Free Talk Live. Hey, Dave.
Hey, guys. So how closely have you guys been following this controversy in New Hampshire over the drug war spending?
I heard there's this Granite hammer thing, which is $1.5 million or something like that, or they're trying to increase it by $1.5 million, and a bunch of state reps voted for this, and so the drug war is going to continue as it is all around the United States.
Well, actually, they voted it down, I guess, and then they got to vote again. Isn't it interesting how they get to vote again, but we, the people, we have to wait 2 years when we want to vote on something.
Didn't they pass it when they voted on it again, though?
Yeah, the second time it passed.
Right.
Now, I'm sure there must have been some sort of at least technical changes, but...
And it's my understanding... I'm sorry, Dave. We'll let you continue here in a moment. Hang on. It's my understanding Darrell W. Perry ran the numbers, looked at the votes, and found several, more than a dozen, I forget the exact number, I'm sure he can inform us of that, of supposed Liberty reps, people who get an endorsement from the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, who voted in favor of continuing and increasing the war on drugs. So it really calls into question those Liberty Alliance endorsements, doesn't it? 855-450-FREE. It's Free Talk Live.
Get a pen and get ready for an important announcement. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, OIC Tax can help. Our retired IRS agents, tax attorneys, and CPAs are fighting for you. That's what we do here at OIC Tax. We help you survive after the IRS has come knocking. OIC Tax can help you with IRS hardship programs, offer in compromise, installment agreements, and the preparation of past and current tax returns. OIC Tax offers convenient representation for small businesses, corporations, W-2 wage earners, and even SBA loans in default. So stop waiting. Get a fresh start. Call OIC Tax at 1-800-314-4491 now. Bank levies, wage garnishments, and property seizures can be devastating to your life. OIC Tax has an A rating from the Better Business Bureau and is registered with the IRS as an e-file provider. Let OIC Tax help you. 1-800-314-4491. 1-800-314-4491. That's 1-800-314-4491.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
Right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
I'm Ian Freeman, host of Free Talk Live. We've been covering Uber for years on the radio with their ongoing legal cases across the globe defending your right to give people rides without asking government permission. I wanted to support Uber more directly, so I signed up to be a driver. It's fun to meet new people and help Uber push forward innovation. As of this recording, Uber is active in 67 countries, so there's a good chance they're available in your area. If you'd like to drive for Uber and make some money helping people get where they want to go, sign up at drive.freetalklive.com, and you'll get a $100 bonus after you complete a certain number of trips. With Uber, you can drive anytime you want. You set your schedule. To get started, you need a good driving record, 4-door vehicle, insurance, registration, and to pass a background check. It costs nothing to sign up, so visit drive.freetalklive.com. That's drive.freetalklive.com. And if you just want to try Uber as a rider, visit ride.freetalklive.com. Your first ride's free.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Boost Kid Essentials Nutritionally Complete Drink, providing your picky eater with essential nutrition and great taste in one drink. Visit us at kidessentials.com. To make sure your kids eat healthy, follow the 5-a-day plan. Serve 3 servings of vegetables and 2 servings of fruit daily. Remember, a serving could just mean a piece of fruit or a half cup of veggies. If your kids are picky eaters, ask a nutritionist about other sources. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, live Saturday edition of the program. You can join us here toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Is there actually somebody out there listening that doesn't think the draft is slavery? Maybe that person does exist. I'd love to hear from you if you're out there here tonight. You can join us on Skype as well at Skype username LRN.FM. With you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian.
And Mark.
And you can join us online at freetalklive.com if you support what we're doing here on Free Talk Live and you want to get behind the show. $5 a month is all that we ask for. And you can join the AMP program. You get perks like access to the AMP-only call-in lines, AMP-only podcast, the AMP-only Facebook group, all of that for $5 a month. Plus, that money helps us get on new radio stations. We're on over 170 AM and FM stations across the United States today. We've got satellite channels across sub-Saharan Africa, North and Central America. We can expand all of that, plus our internet audience, with your help for $5 a month. Again, you get those perks. It helps us out a lot. Please go to amp.freetalklive.com. Get signed up there. Any major credit card through PayPal or Visa and MasterCard right on the site. So once again, it's amp.freetalklive.com. As we continue with Dave in New Hampshire. It's Dave Ridley from RidleyReport.com. You were asking us about this Operation Granite Hammer. It is a drug war program apparently here in New Hampshire that passed. I guess I don't know what the margin was that it passed by, because first it didn't pass the State House, then it did pass the State House. So who knows what kind of wrangling went on behind the scenes to get this thing to pass. But obviously, Liberty people aren't too happy with it, except for the people who are called Liberty reps by the New Hampshire Liberty Alliance, an organization I support, by the way, as a life member also. A life member. I think they're just being too loose with handing out these endorsements to candidates. I don't think you should be able to support the war on drugs and be called a Liberty candidate. I mean, this is like one of the most basic issues of you own yourself. You should be free to put what you want in your own body.
They're endorsements based on math. And
it's an endorsement based on how they vote on certain things.
Well, what you're saying is that you want votes to be weighted. And I get that. I've got my issues too, brother. But what they do is they take a certain amount of bills, and
it's my understanding economic bills are weighted heavier than the social freedoms, but I could be wrong about that. I recall hearing that. But Dave, you're on with us here. What did you want to say about this?
Well, the first time that they tried to pass it, it failed by one vote, I guess, and it failed because of a Free Stater who lobbied heavily against it, Amanda Bolden, who's a state rep. And she has gotten so frustrated that she's pulled a Ridley, and she's starting to produce videos about her experiences inside the State House under the dome.
Really?
And so I saw part of one last night. I guess it's her first one. She's very humble about it, but it was really well produced, and she did a good job of explaining her concerns with what's going on. So it was nice to see that sort of evolution of the way that the state rep office is being used. I've never seen a state rep really do that before.
I totally agree with you. Well, now, I guess there's an exception to this. There are state reps who have cable access television shows. So that has happened already to that extent, which arguably probably gives them a bigger audience than she has right now. If she's just releasing on YouTube, she would have to go viral or something like that before she would be able to compete with the size of the audience you'd get from just putting product on one of the public access channels. But she could put her State House videos on public access if she wanted to. That would be another way for her to garner additional audience within New Hampshire. But I agree with you, Dave. This is a good idea. Use the office as a pulpit. Use the whatever kind of attention that you can get for being a state representative, which isn't that much in New Hampshire, given that there are 400 of them. But a state rep who's trying to get attention will be more likely to get some than one that just quietly votes in obscurity. So good for her. I think it's a good move.
You know what would be fun is to have a state rep that just goes around with a GoPro on his forehead all the time and just records all his interactions with lobbyists and other sleazy state reps and so forth.
I imagine they'd stop getting lobbied pretty quickly.
Yeah, probably true.
Yeah, if you want to see Amanda's video, if you go to Facebook and just look up Amanda Bolden, I think it should be fairly easy to find.
Gotcha. Well, thanks for the heads up, Dave. Appreciate it. That's Dave from RidleyReport.com. We can continue talking about the draft here. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. Let's start with Will in Delaware. You're on Free Talk Live listening to WILM.
How's it going, guys?
Hey, Will.
I think, selective service, a big tie-in, too. You always follow the money. You can't get any federal financial aid or anything like that for student loans unless you sign up. So by forcing women to do it, you're now tying them into that, too, and possibly limiting other financial options while opening the big, giant, ridiculous federal purse.
Yeah, I can't imagine there's too many young people that don't sign up for this program that doesn't do anything. So basically they're, effectively making it difficult for them to get driver's licenses and federal funding for college and a variety of things if they don't, fill out some information on a postcard and send it in. I would imagine the vast majority do it. Or the other possibility is the federal government has no enforcement mechanism, and this is just all a bunch of hot air about you won't get all our special privileges if you don't fill out the paperwork. I don't know the answer. I filled it out. My partner here filled it out.
Yeah, they do have an enforcement because I know a friend of my family, grew up in a fairly rough city, and didn't have people saying, "Hey, you need to do this" when the time comes. And he did get turned down for financial aid, this and that, anything else when he got his life together trying to go to school, and they even tried to get into the military, and they gave him trouble with that too. So there are some ramifications for it. But I think the draft is never going to be used unless there's like a global catastrophe, because now weapons are made to have mass effect instead of the way it was back then.
Well, no, not so fast. Now, just to bring you up to speed, on this show, we've been following along news about the draft for several years, more than several years. And I remember years ago, there were these selective service commercials that were running on the radio. I think they still do. But also there was talk at that time during the 2008 campaign, I believe it was, because it was John McCain and Barack Obama who were going to some sort of summit together as the two candidates for president. We agree on this one thing, and the summit was all about national service. And this is the nasty little creature that they're putting out there, and they're putting it out there over and over again to people that's going to contain the draft. But it won't actually be called the draft. They'll call it national service, and they'll say the proposals that have been made, just to summarize, there have been several of them, but to summarize, the idea would be that young people, and if they put a selective service in for women as well, they'll have all of them registered, that young people would be forced to go into national service. Now, they'd get to then choose which wing of the national service they would want to join, which would be, do you want to join the military wing? Do you want to join the Peace Corps wing, if you will? They have some sort of national service corps that they have cooked up that hasn't been passed into to law quite yet. But this will be their way around. Well, it's not a draft. It's national service. You're not against serving your country, are you?
This is the dirty little secret that we haven't trotted out yet. And this is what I believe to be the conspiracy. This is the reason the politicians won't get rid of a program that they have not used for 40 years. Yeah. Is because they damned well intend to use it. They're going to use selective service as their recruitment mechanism for this national service plan that they have. Yes. And sure, it'll be softened, but it'll be softened because they're going to do it to everybody, peacetime, wartime, no matter what. They're going to say 2 years in, you work for the government, because the federal government has all kinds of positions they can't fill right now. They don't have qualified people. So what they need to do is create a funnel of people that will work for the federal government. And not to say people won't, they just aren't very good at advertising it. So it's easier to sort of recruit from within. And so they will be able to look at people and decide who they want to recruit from within. And at this point, the land of the free and home of the brave becomes essentially a bunch of worker bee socialists.
Will, your thoughts?
Well, I agree because, with Obamacare, for the first time in history, there's a price of admission for being an American. So I wouldn't put anything past them about imposing anything else on us, in whatever fancy dressed up way they can hit on social media and Facebook and have a bunch of celebrities talk about.
Sure.
Make you feel good while it's free over. So
right. And
I agree.
This is worth more discussion. Thank you, Will, for your call here tonight. Let's talk a little bit more about national service, because, yeah, he's right. They can trot out the celebrities. Oh, yeah, national service is great. It's volunteering, even though you're being forced.
And you're getting paid. That's not volunteering.
Yeah, toll-free number here, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. But they try to conflate it with actual volunteer opportunities, and I think that's super dangerous as well. Hour number 2 is on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you searching for your soulmate? Someone you can trust, who will never betray you? Or cooperate with the NSA? Stop searching. With EasyDNS, you found a keeper. EasyDNS does it all. Domain names, web hosting, and managed WordPress hosting. EasyDNS stands up for your internet freedom. And with servers in Canada, they do not cooperate with the NSA. Go to EasyDNS.com. You'll love their services or get a full refund. They guarantee it. And they accept Bitcoin. That's EasyDNS.com.
Adam Kokesh has agreed to meet Bernie Sanders in any city in America on any day between now and the end of the year for a friendly debate on socialism versus voluntarism, in which Bernie can choose an objective moderator. To sweeten the deal, Roger Ver, aka Bitcoin Jesus, has offered that upon completion of a 3-hour debate in which both men have equal time, he will donate a total of $100,000 worth of Bitcoin to the charity of each man's choice, $50,000 apiece. Learn more at bernie.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next, after the news, here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, June 18th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.48 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,299 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $755. Antiwar.com reports Iraqi special forces on Friday entered the Islamic State-held city of Fallujah, capturing a government compound in the area. Troops entered the city through the southern gate, and the Islamic State is still believed to dominate the northern half of the city. The troops inside the city say they believe a significant the Islamic State presence remains, and say that they are besieging the central hospital in hopes that it will chase some the Islamic State fighters out of hiding apart from the northern half of the city. After taking one compound with little fighting and no sign of the couple thousand the Islamic State fighters they say were in the city, Prime Minister Haider Abadi announced total victory, declaring the liberation of the city except for small packets that need to be cleared in the coming hours. Iraqi General Talib Shangadi Mashari al-Kanani was less optimistic, saying he believes the Islamic State will carry out large amounts of suicide bombings and continuing fighting in the city to the last man. He claimed openness to letting the Islamic State fighters flee north towards Mosul instead of engaging in urban warfare, but doubted the Islamic State would flee. Either way, this is hardly tracking with the claims of total victory. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Alabama Governor Robert Bentley released a timeline Friday to fill a seat left vacant by the disgraced House Speaker Mike Hubbard, who is facing prison time after a felony ethics conviction. The timeline allows for a special primary election and a special runoff election, if needed, for the District 79 House seat. If there are multiple candidates in the major political parties, the primary will be held September 13th. The special general election is slated for November 29th. If no candidate receives a majority of the votes in the primary runoff will be November 29th. If that happens, the special general election will be moved to February 7th of next year. Candidates with the major political parties must qualify by July 14th. Minor party and independent candidates must file by September 13th. Secretary of State John Merrill said in a written statement, the timeline that Governor Bentley announced will allow time for candidates to qualify and ensure that House District 79 has representation leading up to the 2017 legislative session. The special election comes after Hubbard was convicted June 10th Smith on 12 of 23 felony charges in an ethics case involving misuse of his office. Prosecutors said Hubbard used his power and position to get $2.3 million in work, investments, and financial favors. Hubbard plans to appeal his conviction. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports high school student David Dworkin spent 10 to 15 hours between classes on his laptop hacking U.S. Defense Department websites. Instead of getting into trouble, the 18-year-old who graduated this week was one of two people praised by Secretary of Defense Ash Carter at the Pentagon on Friday for finding vulnerabilities before U.S. adversaries did. The Pentagon said more than 1,400 participants took part in a pilot project launched this year and found 138 valid reports of vulnerabilities. The project invited hackers to test the cybersecurity of some public Defense Department websites. The Pentagon said it paid a total of about $75,000 to successful hackers in amounts ranging from $100 to $15,000. Dworkin, who graduated high school on Monday, said he reported 6 vulnerabilities but received no rewards because they had already been reported. He said some of the bugs he found would have allowed others to display whatever they wanted on the website and still account information. The Pentagon said the pilot project cost about $150,000, including the reward money, and several follow-up initiatives were planned. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
The new Netflix Gas lets users instantly inhale multiple seasons of TV shows. An area man is worried the nation's healthcare debate might be getting political, and a bullied 8th grader incorrectly thought classmates would leave him alone during a field trip to the 9/11 memorial. Don't mistake my kind, gentle tone for one of love or support. This is the Onion Week in Review. According to a report released this Tuesday, no one, absolutely no one, will ever stack up to your 8th grade boyfriend, Brian Bowden, who you dated for 6 weeks in middle school. A 43-page study from Stanford University confirmed that no other guy in your life will ever be as kind or caring as the 13-year-old who held your hand during the scary parts of Jurassic Park, who had that really cool chain wallet, and who bought you 2 pink carnations on Valentine's Day. The report added that while your current boyfriend does have a lot going for him, he will certainly never cut class with you to listen to the dead Kennedy's Frankenchrist on a Sony Discman. Brian used to do that with you. He used to do it all the time.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want right here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. We're talking about the draft. And no, the draft hasn't come back yet, but maybe they'll bring it back and call it something different. Because people don't like drafts. You know, people bristle against that idea. There were a lot of people.
No. People that might be drafted
don't like it.
Don't like it.
Well, okay, fine. There are military people who don't like the draft, and there are some who do like the draft.
That's true, but there are civilians that like the draft too. Yeah. There are plenty of people that are just like, I think the draft would be good for young people.
Yeah, they think it would be good for them to be told what to do, and they'll get some discipline or whatever excuses.
Well, you can be told what to do in any job. The thing that's
but you can't quit the military.
Right. The thing that's unique about the military is that you can't quit, and the idea that's a good that's not necessarily a good idea. Just kick a kid out of the house. If you want them to learn responsibility, that's a possibility, right? Maybe you failed at parenting, but okay, there's always real life.
So the proposal here from the U.S. Senate, which has just passed very recently, a defense bill that would require young women to sign up for the military draft, for selective service. And what I was suggesting a few moments ago is that this may actually be the first step towards so-called national service, which is going to be a program that has been proposed by both Republicans and Democrats that will mandate that young people in America work for the government for a period of time, whether it's 3 months or 2 years or whatever. That time was never really nailed down. Like, how long do they want to force young people to work for the government with this supposed national service program? They will couch it in terms of volunteerism, when in point of fact, as you pointed out, Mark, if you're getting paid for something, it's not really volunteer work.
No.
In that case. But further, if you're forced to do something, it's also not volunteer work as well.
They love to paint working for the government as though it is somehow better
than volunteering.
Right. They have parades for government people that are hurt or killed in the line of duty or whatever, but they don't do that for civilian people. And it just sort of shows that government jobs are looked at as better. I, as a fireman, often am called a hero. Please, ladies and gentlemen, no, that is not the case. I mean, yes, certainly people do dangerous work, but truck drivers, fishermen, loggers, these people do dangerous jobs all the time. Nobody calls them heroes.
Let's go to your phone calls and thoughts. Maybe somebody out there thinks the draft is a good idea and that it's not slavery. The toll-free number, 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Let's go to the phones, to the fun. We'll talk first to Mark in Ohio, listening to WIBC in Indianapolis. Hello, Mark.
Hey, good evening.
Hey.
Really appreciate the opportunity. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm for the draft, and I think that the only reason we have the draft out there is in case something really bad happens and there's a threat, and that's the potential threat to the United States.
So let me follow you on this one here. What you're saying is that in order to protect freedom, we need to have slavery.
No, I didn't say that at all. I say the draft is a means to raise an army in a time of war.
A slave army.
When we're attacked and we need to defend ourselves.
A slave army.
Slave army. I don't subscribe. Well, freedom isn't free. So if you're in a village or a town or a city, everybody has to basically run to the defense of the city.
So the price of freedom is obedience. Is that what you're saying? The price of freedom is to do what you're told by the government?
You'll have to sacrifice something for the common defense.
Well,
else, right?
Don't you think that you can get people, for one, if you're attacked? You remember 9/11 when people were looking to George Bush, hey, what should we do? And he said, go shopping. You remember that?
Well, yeah, I remember that.
Okay.
I remember that phrase. But I also remember in our history at World War II in 17, whenever we've been aggressed, there's a lot of people that rush to volunteer.
Yep.
And we have had drafts in the past. And we raised those big armies because we didn't have large standing armies before. In the history of the U.S. military, it was peaks and valleys. And when there was a big threat, then we had to raise an army.
Right, but you don't need the draft to raise the army. You don't need it because when there's the threat, the people come.
If you want it to be fair and equitable, not like Vietnam. If Vietnam was not fair,
Vietnam had a draft and they sent all the black people to the front line. What the hell is fair and equitable about that?
It was not fair. I agree with you.
That's where the draft was.
We need fair slavery, Mark. Fair slavery.
Oh, so you want the draft done better? Yeah. Do you want an organization besides the government to do it then?
Nope. I want the U.S. government to do a draft. I want it to
the
be
same
fair and
organization
equitable.
that's messed it up until now is the one you want to do it.
Now, what do you think is an appropriate punishment for someone who does not want to be a slave? Someone who says, no, that's okay. I'd prefer to not go ahead and fight at the whims of politicians. What should happen to that person?
Well, if that person doesn't fight at the whims of politicians, we have the politicians that we elect. So citizens, when we exercise our right to vote, those people in Washington, D.C., many of them are idiots, but that's because their congressional districts voted for them into office. So we're saddled with a government that we voted for.
Who's we?
And you support that. You support idiots telling people what to do, sending them off to die in foreign lands. You support that.
Well, first of all, when was the last time we raised the draft? Right, so it's been a long time, and I personally
That's
don't
the reason
think
I'm
we're gonna see the
advocating
draft again.
Getting rid of it.
We've got a volunteer military. Yeah, but it's all political right now because they opened up the military jobs to women across the board. So now you've got women that are in infantry, and many in the military said, "Hey, if the women get to go in those infantry jobs, then they should be drafted just like the males do, and have to provide selective service cards."
Yeah, we understand what they've done.
Yeah, I understand what the fairness.
Why do
equal
you
protection.
support it? I don't understand why you support slavery to idiots. I mean, you just described politicians as idiots, and I think you're right about that. These are not brilliant people. They are usually failures in life, and that's why they went into politics. So why would you want to send people to their doom at the whims of these people?
Because the assumption is that we're only going to raise an army when there's an existential threat to the United States.
You know what happens when you assume, right?
Really bad. We've been in World War II when the Japanese did a surprise attack. Okay, we had a draft in World War II.
It wasn't really a surprise. The federal government manipulated the Japanese into that attack. They were kind of expecting it.
Well, I'm not going to argue.
And plus the fact that World War I had a draft. World War I had a draft, and there wouldn't have been a European theater of World War II, period, if the United States hadn't got into World War I. So you can say that we need a draft because we had a draft, but that doesn't really work very well.
Well, I think we got into World War II because we wanted to push back Nazi aggression.
Right, but Nazi aggression existed because the United States threw off the balance in Europe during World War I, causing the Treaty of Versailles, which was the main platform for Hitler to, preach for going to war against his neighbors, was the Treaty of Versailles. So if the United States hadn't gotten in, no Treaty of Versailles, then you wouldn't have had a Hitler. That's what most historians agree.
No, we went in the last. We basically ended the war quickly in 1918.
Yes.
We didn't fight all 4 years. We just fought in the last year.
I'm clear on that. Yep.
The reparations that were taken in World War I were not on the side. The U.S. wasn't pushing those reparations.
Agreed.
It was.
But that gave the European
England.
powers, that gave the Triple Entente the power to negotiate for those. Just because Wilson didn't want them doesn't mean that Wilson's role in bringing the military in didn't give them the power to do it. The draft caused World War. If you're calling, I'm not going to claim this, but if you're saying the draft was helpful in World War II, then you must say that it was hurtful in World War I.
Thanks, Mark, for your call tonight. Appreciate it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE.
This is the problem with aggression, is you don't know what the consequences are, and then you become responsible. So if you don't call for the aggression, then you won't be responsible. If you do call for it, then you are responsible. And that's ultimately what it comes down to. There would have been no Hitler. Well, Hitler would have existed, but he wouldn't have risen to power if it hadn't have been for the United States' involvement in World War I. Now, I don't know what that has to do with the draft precisely, because many people were volunteers. The fact is, farm life stinks, and it sounded like more fun to run off to get shot at.
The toll-free number here is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can join us on the phones, also via Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. Your thoughts on the draft, national service, or whatever's on your mind goes here on Free Talk Live.
Fellas, are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Been fantasizing about surprising your lover with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, here's an offer you won't be able to resist. Go to adamandeve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. But that's not all. Oh, no. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs for a little inspiration. Plus, a free extra gift so sensual, we can't mention it on the radio. And to top it all off, we'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. And no, we're not teasing. So check out adamandeve.com today for this special offer. Get 50% off one item when you type BABE33 for the offer code upon checkout. When you do, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. Just use offer code BABE33 at adamandeve.com.
I'm Nick Soboleski, a Select Quote agent with a true story that could save you hundreds of dollars a year. A woman named Linda just called. Her husband, Ray, has a $300,000 group life insurance policy, but is changing jobs and can't take it with him. Well, I impartially shopped the highly rated term life insurance companies we represent and found Ray, who is 41 and takes medication to control his cholesterol, a 10-year, $500,000 policy for under $26 a month. That's almost twice the coverage for less than half of what he had paid. If SelectQuote hasn't shopped for your life insurance, you're probably paying too much.
For your free quote,
Call 1-800-403-4885. That's 1-800-403-4885. 1-800-403-4885. Or go to SelectQuote.com. We shop. You save. Get full details in the example policy at SelectQuote.com/commercials. Your price could vary depending on your health, issuing company, and other factors. Not available in all states.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
Did you know you can watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cams at cam.freetalklive.com? Plus, you can chat with other listeners while you watch, all totally free. Now that our live video stream is hosted by YouTube, our video archives will be online even faster. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $15 higher at $1,293 per ounce. Silver is 27 cents higher at $17.49 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $742 US. Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Dial on in toll free to join us here, the live Saturday edition of the program. You can dial us at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. More thoughts on the draft or national service, as it may end up being called, if it does come back. It'll be in a different form than you're probably used to. It's Ian and Mark in the studio. Our toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. And if you're tired of governments murdering people around the world, well, stop using their money. There is an alternative, and it's Bitcoin. It's a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using the state's money, you're helping them. So stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, and spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com. That's a great place to go and learn more about Bitcoin and get your first Bitcoin wallet, which will tell you a good one that we like here in a few moments. Mark, you look like you want to jump in before we go right back to your call.
Speaking of the draft, the gentleman called in support of it, and I'm a member of the Religious Society of Friends.
The Quakers.
I'm a Quaker, and I have been for several years. And one of the things that Quakers do is they're conscientious objectors. Now, many of them have sort of served in major conflicts in brave ways by choosing to, help medically, pull soldiers off the battlefield and doing a variety of things like that. But some of them simply refuse to serve the state in any way when it comes to war. Mm-hmm. They will refuse to pay war taxes. They just refuse. Now, I guess, there's a long history of Quakers in the military and conscientious objecting, that kind of thing. With this new draft that seems to be coming down the pipe, women now having to register for selective service, in all likelihood, at this point it hasn't passed. And then
it's in a defense bill. It's likely going to pass, right?
Then maybe the next thing you're talking about is this national service. Exactly what should Quakers have to do? At this point, we've been exempted, essentially, from the draft and that kind of thing. What should we have to do? Are you going to throw all the Quakers in jail? Now, I'm 45. I don't have to worry about it. It's unlikely the United States military is going to come after me with my bad back and say, you've got to, carry a gun for us or, work in the government or whatever it is that we've got to do. And they'll say that because they've given us choices that, well, it's not mandatory. You got to go to the military, so it's okay. What we're offering is okay. But what are they going to do? What's the punishment going to be? When I get out, am I then, sort of free to live my life, or am I going to always have to pay basically this fascist tax?
Let's go to the phones to the fun. 855-450-FREE is the toll-free number. Dave is on the line in Indianapolis listening to WIBC. Hey, Dave.
Hello, hippies. Happy Saturday night.
We gave you something tonight, Dave.
What's that?
Well, go ahead, Dave.
Oh, opposition to the draft? Sure. Go ahead.
Let me try to narrow my little pea-brain thoughts down here. First off, let's draft Chelsea and Malia and see how far that goes. Okay?
Yeah, indeed.
It is the most sickening idea yet to come out of both parties, of which Obama will sign, to draft women. If women want to volunteer for military service, God bless them, go for it. They have served valiantly, and hopefully they'll continue to do so.
Well, don't you agree that the draft itself is a sick idea? I mean, I agree with you that it's sick to draft women, but it's sick to draft anybody.
I tell you what, if you have to start drafting people, there's already a problem with your cause.
There you go.
The case should make itself. A leader should be able to go to his people, if his case is right, and say, here's the enemy, here's what they've done, here's what will happen if we don't beat them into the dirt right now. Here's where you can join up.
I think the same thing is true, by the way, when it comes to taxes in general. If you've got a bad program, you should, that's the reason why you have to tax for it. If it's a good idea, then you don't have to tax. You can just ask people for money.
Well, there's a great idea that's written down. It's up in Washington, D.C. It's called Section 8 of the Constitution of the United States, or, Article 1, Section 8. And it lists, specifically what the federal government is supposed to do. But, we're in the age of where everybody is ignoring that.
Sure.
So, look, no, we should not draft women. This is stupid. And the reason I'm so incensed by this is because, once again, leftists specifically, whether they're Democrats mostly or a few Republicans, are calling this national service. What this is they need spare parts for the benevolent dictatorship called the welfare state.
Mm-hmm.
They need to draft people in these make-work, useless, baloney jobs.
That's correct. That's basically the idea behind national service. Have they been touting those terms in this discussion with the draft? Because I haven't looked in detail at what the senators or whoever have actually said about this bill that they passed. Have they been using the term national service?
Well, whatever term they use, we know what it is. Look at the underlying premise. It's forced participation. What is Obamacare? You must participate. What is the income tax and Social Security and all these unconstitutional, illegal programs that our federal government is foisting upon us at the behest of half of the population? Remember, we can blame the politicians in D.C., but we've got a lot of leftists that we're elbow to elbow with every day who are just as bad as any one of these bastards in D.C. So, no, we shouldn't be drafting women. I am almost ready to buy a school bus and start loading young women on it who don't want to serve in the draft and drive to Canada. This is ridiculous.
Well,
Canada's going to send them back. They're going to say it's equality.
I appreciate where you're coming from, Dave. I just think that the draft itself is a terrible idea, and it needs to go away.
It is impractical, because if your nation is strong enough and the case is good and you have the moral high ground, you're not going to run out of people. I mean, they drafted young children in Nazi Germany towards the end of World War II. Why? Because they were fighting on the wrong side of the issue, more or less. Okay? And here, the only reason I think they people with good intentions have a draft is so that they can count on X number of troops that they can field at any given time. Okay? And, again, if you've got a case like World War II, it makes itself. People will line up to sign up. Okay, you don't need to impose a lien. But we've got a lien. We've got multiple liens coming out of Washington, D.C. every day, the worst of which Obamacare was, because the old joke was pretty soon they're going to tax the air we breathe. What do we have now? We have a lien on life, on every American. There is no volunteering for Obamacare.
Dave, thanks for your call, man. I appreciate hearing from you tonight. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Let's talk to Bob. He's in Aberdeen, Washington, listening to KBKW. Hey, Bob.
Hey, I just have a quick comment here.
Yes, sir.
I've been in the military for 14 years. We don't want draftees.
Yeah, I bet you don't.
Great pride. We take great pride in being a all-volunteer Army. We take pride in being the highest trained, basically killers in the world.
Yeah.
And if you look historically, all draftees are cannon fodder. In Vietnam and World War II and World War I, they were the ones thrown up first to get slaughtered.
And you don't really need that anymore. With modern weapons systems, the United States military doesn't need cannon fodder.
So would you agree the selective service system should be abolished?
Oh, it's an idiotic It's idiotic. But my personal thought when I heard they're doing this to women, it brought me back to Obama's first term. When in that speech he said we need a civilian national security force, better
that's as
funded,
big,
and
as
better
powerful, and as
than the
funded.
U.S. military.
Yep.
Yeah.
Scary
and
stuff.
That's what I'm afraid that this actually is.
That's what this is. I agree with you, Bob. This is what they're moving towards, the idea of national service. You're right on. Thanks for the call tonight. 855-450-FREE. This is Free Talk Live.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Hunters, anglers, campers, and survivalists. Get back to nature. Expand your horizons with the highest quality, most versatile, unique slingshots and sling bows on the market at slingbow.com. Slingbow products are compact and models start from just $17.98. They're perfect for your bug-out bag or storing in your vehicle. Give yourself and your loved ones the excitement and tradition of slingbow. A new frontier in archery and truly modern twist on this primitive survival tool. Feel the thrill only at slingbow.com.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the Free State and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State. Or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us here. The toll-free number for you is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We talked briefly about Bitcoin a little while ago, and we're going to recommend a wallet to you. There are a lot of wallets in the world of Bitcoin. This is a way for you to access your cryptocurrency. Bitcoin's the most popular. There's also now Ether, which is pretty popular. So the number 2 cryptocurrency in the world at the moment. And you can hold both of those with your Jaxx wallet at Jaxx, JAXX.io. It's a cross-platform wallet, which is awesome. I don't know if there may be another cross-platform wallet out there, but I don't know what it is, if so. It's like usually the wallet exists on the phone or the computer, and not both. But Jaxx, you can do both.
I want to point out that wallet, in this case, is a program that holds...
That's correct. It holds private keys that give you access to cryptocurrency. Digital
international currencies that are likely to replace the old currencies that we have today, in my opinion.
It's going to take a while, but it could happen.
These are at least the proto replacements of those currencies, and it seems like a lot of people are using them for commodity investments, too. There's a whole industry that's popped up around that.
So grab your Jaxx wallet and get started with Bitcoin, Ether, or the new DAO tokens at JAXX.io. That's Jaxx.io. It's available for Windows, Mac, Linux, browser plugins for Firefox and Chrome, and then also, of course, Android and iOS devices. So whatever device you're using, there's likely a Jaxx waiting for you. Jaxx.io, JAXX.io. As we go back to the phones and to the fun, let's talk to Frank. He's in Myrtle Beach, listening to WRNN. Hello, Frank. We've been discussing the draft for those just tuning in. Go ahead, Frank.
Right. You know that only 1% of the eligible population does any military service. Are you aware of that?
Okay.
So what?
And what does that critical thinking mind of yours tell you?
That those people are suckers?
They don't want the low pay.
That's what it does. It tells you that they don't have. We got a generation of kids out here that have no skin in the game. That's
what game are you calling?
Are you talking about? I'm sorry. Are you talking about Congress?
I'm talking about the game of this country. About patriotism.
You talking about the game of killing people around the world? Because that doesn't sound like a game to me. That sounds pretty serious.
I don't think we've been killing people, buddy, because we haven't won a war since 1945.
What did you say about killing people? Say that again.
What world are you in?
Well, I didn't hear everything you said there.
He says he doesn't think it's killing people because they haven't won.
What generation American are you? I want to know.
The hell does it matter?
It matters. Because I think you're a socialist liberal that's infiltrating.
You haven't been listening.
People with a bunch of bullshit.
Oh, you can't say the S word on the radio.
You can't. Well, you can say socialist.
Well, he said bull S later on.
You can't say bull S on the radio.
We had to dump him off the line.
Okay,
Mark, are you a socialist?
No, I'm the exact opposite of socialist. I believe people are responsible for their actions, and I believe that they should be paid for what they negotiate for. He thinks that the draft is somehow going to fix that. And the fact is, if you want... It's ludicrous to hold up a government program as a solution to socialism because government programs are socialism. Mm-hmm. The military is forced redistribution of wealth from working Americans to people in the military.
So you're saying the military is a socialist program?
It is,
Yeah.
right? I mean, there's socialists look at big government programs like the military for the way that they go about doing things. Many socialist countries have attempted to make everybody part of the military in order to sort of keep this going. So to call us leftist socialists is ridiculous. Now, whether you consider libertarianism to come out of the left or come out of the right really just sort of depends on how you want to parse history. And I'm happy to discuss that on either side. But the idea that I'm a socialist is patently ridiculous. I'm against the draft because I believe the government all governments are relatively inefficient organizations. And on top of that, I consider war to be a pretty bad communication tool. Now, he claimed the United States had lost every war since 1945. I'm going to correct that a little bit. The United States won the Korean War and won the Vietnam War. It's the politicians that gave back everything. The soldiers did it. The politicians lost it. If you're going to claim Vietnam was lost by the soldiers, then you need to consider that it might have been lost by draftees who didn't want to be there and began to sabotage things. So the draft isn't the solution to any of these problems.
Yeah, I mean, you said you are against the draft because the government's inefficient. For me, that's not the reason I'm against the draft, and I am also not a socialist. I'm a voluntarist. I believe all human interaction should be consensual, which means I'm against the draft because it's not consensual. I'm against the idea of people being forced against their will to do something they don't want to do. Or the reverse, to be forced to not do something you do want to do.
I'm also against war because I'm sick and tired of seeing people die for the things that the politicians are going to give back in the future.
Let's talk to Captain Med on the line from who knows where. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead, Captain Med.
Hey, guys, it's been a long time. How you doing?
It's Captain Ned.
Oh, okay. It said Med here. Go ahead, Ned.
I know, but you don't remember Captain Ned?
That sounds familiar. Go ahead, Ned.
Yeah, man. Hey, I'm making this call from a vessel not under command, man. I'm making this by flashlight, so bear with me for a minute. But hey, I'm gonna kind of. I heard the most vile of all words the FCC should ban socialists. That last call is pretty good. Anyway, here's the deal. I'm going to tell everybody should grab their pocket constitution because this is very germane to this whole registration for the draft thing. Okay.
All right.
Now, everybody thinks they're a U.S. citizen, okay? That's exactly what they want you to think. I'm going to preface this real quick with no U.S. citizen has ever been president of the United States. There was some debate in the 1800s whether a vice president was a U.S. citizen, but I don't know where I should know that, but I don't know where that went. But they're a U.S. citizen. Everybody thinks they're a U.S. citizen. Exactly wrong, okay? And Article 2, Section 1, there's 62 words that qualify you for U.S. president. And I'll tell you what they are right here. This is the sole qualification for U.S. president. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States. That's a U.S. citizen. That's a resident alien, okay? A citizen of several states is a natural-born citizen. No U.S. citizen has ever been president of the United States, okay? Now, you guys know that, right?
I've heard the claims before.
It's new to me.
You're not going to get me on board with it, Ned, but I'm going to let you talk to people about it.
Well, it's not a claim. It's very clear. No person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States. These are the sole 62 words that qualify you for U.S. president. And now I'll go through this real quick. At the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president, nor shall any person be eligible to that office who shall have not attained to the age of 35 years. Remember, John F. Kennedy was a young guy. I had a draft card for Vietnam, okay, and been 14 years a resident within the United States. A resident is always a resident alien. The founding fathers, a lot of founding fathers spoke 3 or 4 languages. They were born in Germany, France. They didn't want, this is why they put this in. Those were U.S. citizens, okay? They were sworn in. A U.S. citizen is always sworn in, and the way I tell people to remember this is they're waving a flag and a burqa at a stadium on the 4th of July. That's a U.S. citizen.
Well, wait a minute. What makes you – I'm confused. You're saying the presidents aren't U.S. citizens, but they've all been sworn in, so doesn't that make them –
No U.S. citizen. To be a U.S. citizen, you have to be sworn in or born in the District of Columbia, which means you're federal property. The District of Columbia is the seat of the government, not to exceed 10 square miles. That can be anywhere in the country. There's talk they're going to make the Denver
Okay, but if they're not
airport.
U.S. citizens, then what are they?
Okay, you're either one of two things. I'll read this again. You can read Article 2, Section 1. No person except a natural-born citizen. That's what we are, guys. You're a citizen of the several states united if you read this.
So you're claiming the presidents are natural-born citizens, not U.S. citizens.
Right. Every president has been a natural-born citizen. I don't want to get hung up.
But isn't it true, Captain Ned, that no one is actually a citizen at all because a citizen owes a duty of allegiance in return for an obligation of protection, which the state has no obligation for that?
I mean, I know where you're going, but that's going to be a rabbit hole. But I want to make this quick for you guys.
It is a rabbit hole. Hold your thoughts, Captain Ned. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Is he on to something? And what's it really matter when all's said and done? I want to know that. It's Free Talk Live. Share your thoughts.
Get a pen and get ready for an important announcement. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, OIC Tax can help. Our retired IRS agents, tax attorneys, and CPAs are fighting for you. That's what we do here at OIC Tax. We help you survive after the IRS has come knocking. OIC Tax can help you with IRS hardship programs, offer in compromise, installment agreements, and the preparation of past and current tax returns. OIC Tax offers convenient representation for small businesses, corporations, W-2 wage earners, and even SBA loans in default. So stop waiting. Get a fresh start. Call OIC Tax at 1-800-314-4491 now. Bank levies, wage garnishments, and property seizures can be devastating to your life. OIC Tax has an A rating from the Better Business Bureau and is registered with the IRS as an e-file provider. Let OIC Tax help you. 1-800-314-4491. 1-800-314-4491. That's 1-800-314-4491.
This is Michael David from Seattle. I'm 51 years old, and 6 months ago, I started taking Andro 400 to increase my testosterone. Since then, I've lost 35 pounds of fat, and my waist went from size 38 to size 32. I have more energy, and I look and feel 20 years younger. And now my wife tells me I have to take Andro 400.
Hi, this is Ron Johnson from Utah. After 10 weeks of taking Andro 400, I lost 13 pounds, and my waist went from 36 to 33. That was 8 years ago. I continue to take Andro 400, and I've maintained my weight at 172. Gained muscle and energy. I'm 63 now and feel better than I have in 30 years.
Andro 400, the natural way to increase testosterone, lose belly fat, gain energy, and feel great. Try Andro 400, the safe, effective, affordable way to boost your testosterone. Go to andro400.com or call 888-400-0435. 888-400-0435.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit did your nerves spike. You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. We're talking the draft. And you can bring up whatever's on your mind as well here. Live Saturday edition of the show. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We do have Skype. Skype username's LRN.FM. With you tonight, Ian here.
And Mark.
Let's go back to the phones, back to the fun. But first, I want to invite you to shop with Free Talk Live. You're going to go online, do some shopping there, maybe go to Amazon. Well, just go to shop.freetalklive.com, enter the links you'll find there to Amazon. There's Amazon Canada, UK, and US. You click into the right Amazon for you, and Free Talk Live will get a portion of the purchase price. Same prices, so you're not paying anything extra. It's just Amazon's not keeping all the profits. They're sending some over to Free Talk Live. So thank you for everybody who shops through that link at shop.freetalklive.com. Again, shop.freetalklive.com. Captain Ned is trying to explain to us his interpretation of the Constitution, the idea of citizenship, specifically when it comes to being the president. You've cited the requirements for president, Captain Ned, in section whatever it was of the Constitution.
Article 2, Section 1.
And you've claimed here that it says that someone who is a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States would qualify. And Mark, you had a question about that.
Yeah, it seems like there's a part here that you're not emphasizing, Captain Ned. It says no person except a natural-born citizen or a citizen of the United States at the time of the adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible for the office of president. And it would be It would be difficult for, say, George Washington to be a natural-born citizen of the United States and be 35, right?
But he was born here on U.S. soil.
Right,
okay?
so he's a natural-born citizen.
Yeah, that goes from that point forward. Now, let me shift gears here.
Well,
what I'm reading here, here, real quick, you can be born today to Chinese parents in Beijing, China, both communist parents. If you come here to the United States, you follow the procedure, you get sworn in, you attain the age of 35, you're 14 years a resident. Resident only applies to the resident aliens, the U.S. citizens. You are eligible to be president. What the founding fathers didn't want was these guys coming from Germany at the inception, or France, or God forbid, Great Britain, and buying their way in. So they put that 14-year lag time.
Alexander Hamilton was ineligible to run for the office, as I understand all readings of history, because he was born in the Bahamas, and so therefore he just simply, he did other things and then got shot. So I'm not sure I agree with your interpretation, Captain Ned.
We press forward because it's in black and white, but you very well may be right. I'm not aware of it. But here's the thing. So what they didn't want was these guys buying their way in. They wanted that 14-year lag time for the young republic to have natural-born citizens, or you had to be here 14 years. So you just couldn't come in with a bunch of money like Hillary and buy your way in. So anyway, now what they're saying here now I'm going to read this. You used to get this from the post office. This is from Selective Service, everything I'm going to read from this point forward. But you don't get it anymore from Selective Service. It used to have the little, like I said, I had a Vietnam draft card. You had a little thing that you cut off and sent in from this. Now, you're going to see why you don't get this anymore, because this isn't politically correct anymore. But there are 21 categories here, and it's a yes and no for each column. Who must register? Now, let me read this to you. With few exceptions, all male U.S. citizens, okay, that's why I qualified this for you so you know who you are now, and male immigrant aliens residing, again, any resident is always a resident alien in the U.S. and its territories must register. So a natural-born citizen is not obligated to register for the draft. Only a U.S. citizen. And the way you remember who a U.S. citizen is, if you're born in D.C., that 10-square-mile area, You are government property.
These are interesting theories, but it would be more interesting to see someone argue one in court, which of course would require the draft board or the Selective Service to actually take someone to court. Captain Ned, thanks for the call tonight. If you want to clarify further, you can call us another night. I want to make sure we can get some other folks on the line here, because it's an interesting theory. Oh, well, I'm not a U.S. citizen because I was naturally born here and I didn't jump through the hoops to become a U.S. citizen. So therefore, I don't have to file for the draft.
People aren't filing for Selective Service because they're scared of the because of the citizenship thing. They're filing because they want the federal Pell Grants. Mm-hmm. They want whatever the government privileges are that are being offered.
Or they're afraid of the jail time.
I don't think so.
That's why I did it.
You didn't want you didn't take any kind of money when you went to college from the federal government?
No, it was state money.
Okay. Well, you did have that smart kid scholarship, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you filled that one out. Well, I can tell you that lots of people want – college is really expensive, and you're not going to be able to do it without these federal grants in many cases.
Let's go to Ryan. He's in Tampa listening online. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hi there. I was just listening to the discussion on the draft and national service tonight,
yes, sir,
and I wanted to make two brief points to perhaps frame it from a better perspective.
Sure.
First, I know that people say we is shorthand, but we aren't doing whatever it is people are speaking about. The U.S. government is doing it.
That's right.
And number two, related to that, a study from 2014 by professors from Princeton and Northwestern found that the U.S. functions as an oligarchy, not a democratic republic. So the use of we when referring to the actions of the U.S. government, that's about as wrong as it can be.
Did I say we tonight when it came to the U.S. government? Because if so, then I've been very bad.
You didn't, but callers have said it several times, and that's a pet peeve of mine.
It is a pet peeve of mine as well.
I just thought I'd call in about it.
Thanks for the call tonight, Ryan. I appreciate that clarification. Yeah, it's not. Look, unless you work for the government, it's not we doing things like the draft. It's not we creating national service. It's them. They're the ones doing it. They're the ones forcing you and your loved ones, your sons and your daughters, into this crazy system, which, as was pointed out by a military guy who called in earlier, he wasn't on for very long, but he pointed out that he believes this making women have to register for selective service, which it's not a done deal yet, but the Senate passed this. They passed it as a defense appropriations bill, so it's almost a guarantee to sail through unless someone strips it out somehow in the House of Representatives. This thing goes through. He believes this is going to be the next step towards a national service program, towards fulfilling Obama's pledge, his promise of a national service program that is as large and as well-funded and whatever as the military basically is.
Yeah. Is as large, as powerful, and as well-funded as the military was what the quote from Barack Obama was.
Right. And the idea was that would be...
It's always rung in my head because if you want to create another government bureaucracy as large, as powerful, and as well-funded as U.S. military, that is a Herculean task. It's amazing to even suggest such a thing. And that is somebody who truly believes in the government.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to find very many people who were in the military who believe it to be a particularly efficient organization. And now, up until this point in human history, we haven't had too many free market militaries for government militaries to compete against. So the United States militaries, when you're looking at comparing it to other militaries, pretty good. But when you're comparing the United States government as an employer to other organizations as employers, you're going to find all kinds of inefficiencies in there. You don't want that. That's the worst thing that we can do for our kids, is to create some giant government bureaucracy where they have to go and work for them for 2 years, especially at that formative time of life like 18 to 20.
Let's go to Vernon in New Orleans. You can bring up anything you want here on Free Talk Live. You're listening to WGSO. Hey, Vernon.
Actually, I'm listening live. That doesn't matter. So I was reading an article, and I just wanted to know what you all knew about it. It says roughly 55 million in Ethereum coins are taken from a group, and the article also reads that they're basically going to phase out Ethereum. And then the other thing I wanted to know was that it says they're going to go back, and they're basically going to undo that transaction. through the code, and I was just curious, like, what your thoughts were on all of that.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty big controversy within the cryptocurrency. He hung up. So just asking. Anyway, this is a pretty big controversy within the cryptocurrency universe. We did briefly mention Ethereum earlier tonight when we were talking about the Jax wallet as the number 2 cryptocurrency to Bitcoin. It's about a tenth of the it's Bitcoin's what market capitalization is about 11 million, I think, or 11 billion now.
It's the second cryptocurrency in the world by market cap.
And Ethereum, I think, is around 1 billion market cap. Anyway, it's kind of run, taken off recently, and this DAO concept, the decentralized autonomous organization, has really blown up. It's become the largest Kickstarter, basically. I mean, it's not a Kickstarter, but the largest crowdfunding project to ever have existed so far, raising approximately $150 million worth of this Ether, this cryptocurrency. And there's a controversy. There's a big controversy here about the future of this because of what's being called a hack by some people. We'll explain here in hour number 3. You can join us on Free Talk Live.
The root cause of most of society's ills is neither malice nor negligence, but a mere superstition, an unquestioned assumption which has been accepted on faith by nearly everyone of all ages, races, religions, education, and income levels. The Most Dangerous Superstition by Larkin Rose exposes the myth for what it is, showing how nearly everyone, as a result of one particular unquestioned assumption, is directly contributing to violence and oppression without even realizing it. Find The Most Dangerous Superstition on Amazon and larkinrose.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Saturday, June 18th, 2016. Silver is trading at $17.48 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,299 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $755. Antiwar.com reports Iraqi special forces on Friday entered the Islamic State-held city of Fallujah, capturing a government compound in the area. Troops entered the city through the southern gate, and the Islamic State is still believed to dominate the northern half of the city. The troops inside the city say they believe a significant the Islamic State presence remains, and say that they are besieging the central hospital in hopes that it will chase some of the Islamic State fighters out of hiding apart from the northern half of the city. After taking one compound with little fighting and no sign of the couple thousand the Islamic State fighters they say were in the city, Prime Minister Haider Abadi announced total victory, declaring the liberation of the city except for small packets that need to be cleared in the coming hours. Iraqi General Talib Shangadi Mashari al-Kanani was less optimistic, saying he believes the Islamic State will carry out large amounts of suicide bombings and continuing fighting in the city to the last man. He claimed openness to letting the Islamic State fighters flee north towards Mosul Mosul instead of engaging in urban warfare, but doubted the Islamic State would flee. Either way, this is hardly tracking with the claims of total victory. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. UPI reports Alabama Governor Robert Bentley released a timeline Friday to fill a seat left vacant by the disgraced House Speaker Mike Hubbard, who is facing prison time after a felony ethics conviction. The timeline allows for a special primary election and a special runoff election if needed for the District 79 House seat. If there are multiple candidates in the major political parties, the primary will be held September 13th. The special general election is slated for November 29th. If no candidate receives a majority of the votes in the primary runoff will be November 29th. If that happens, the special general election will be moved to February 7th of next year. Candidates with the major political parties must qualify by July 14th. Minor party and independent candidates must file by September 13th. Secretary of State John Merrill said in a written statement, the timeline that Governor Bentley announced will allow time for candidates to qualify and ensure that House District 79 has representation leading up to the 2017 legislative session. The special election comes after Hubbard was convicted June 10th on 12 of 23 felony charges in an ethics case involving misuse of his office. Prosecutors said Hubbard used his power and position to get $2.3 million in work, investments, and financial favors. Hubbard plans to appeal his conviction. You can support FPP Radio by joining the Fans program. Fans are friends, allies, and numerous supporters. Fans help FPP afford to produce more original content. You can join the Fans program for as little as $3 per month through Patreon and get perks like ad-free versions of FPP Radio News and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio. To learn more or to join the Fans program, visit fans.fppradio.com. Reuters reports high school student David Dworkin spent 10 to 15 hours between classes on his laptop hacking U.S. Defense Department websites. Instead of getting into trouble, the 18-year-old who graduated this week was one of two people praised by Secretary of Defense Ash Carter at the Pentagon on Friday for finding vulnerabilities before U.S. adversaries did. The Pentagon said more than 1,400 participants took part in a pilot project launched this year and found 138 valid reports of vulnerabilities. The project invited hackers to test the cybersecurity of some public Defense Department websites. The Pentagon said it paid a total of about $75,000 to successful hackers in amounts ranging from $100 to $15,000. Dworkin, who graduated high school on Monday, said he reported 6 vulnerabilities but received no rewards because they had already been reported. He said some of the bugs he found would have allowed others to display whatever they wanted on the website and still account information. The Pentagon said the pilot project cost about $150,000, including the reward money, and several follow-up initiatives were planned. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
We turn to Washington, D.C., where America's roommates are holding a rally as part of their new One Vote Doesn't Matter political action campaign. The rally, which drew thousands of roommates ranging from the guy who keeps all of his groceries in his room to the guy whose name the lease is under, is just a part of a surging grassroots movement to spread the message that one person's vote can't make a difference if you really, really think about it.
You know, this is like the most important election of our lifetime. We just want to get the word out that it's already been decided in some smoke-filled boardroom. You know, I pretty much minored in poli-sci, so I think I get this stuff.
Joining us now is Jason Copeland at a rally in the nation's capital. Jason, how would you describe the energy there?
Yeah, hi, Andrea. I'd say it's a definite chill vibe. I just saw the roommate whose only friend seems to be his younger brother and the guy who just has an air mattress in his room passing out flyers together. Now, the roommates do make some interesting points. The Electoral College it is weird.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. It's Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything you want. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Somebody actually sent me a message today saying, Hey, I really wanted to hear you guys talk about the Ethereum hack last night on the show when Daryl and I were hosting the program. I said, well, it's open phones every single night. You could just call in and request the topic be discussed. We do that stuff. We're a talk show who takes requests. The radio business, the music radio stations claim to take requests. They're usually lying to you. But
yes, they are.
We really do it. You can bring up anything you want here, and that's what our last caller did. So before we continue with your calls, we are going to address the issue of the supposed hack of Ethereum. Now, actually, it wasn't Ethereum that was hacked. It was the DAO tokens, the DAO system. For those that don't know, Ethereum is a cryptocurrency, like Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency. Or, excuse me, Ethereum is a system for like programming, like a large computer, basically, that's based on the blockchain, which is the technology sort of behind Bitcoin.
It's a peer-to-peer open source, huge platform on which you can program anything and people can participate willingly.
And so one of the first things that's been programmed for Ethereum publicly has been this DAO, the Decentralized Autonomous Organization, that allows people, in theory, to join together anonymously to conduct business, to have some sort of product or service or whatever. We don't know what it's going to end up being because it's only in its nascent, incipient phases here at this point. And the DAO, this idea of this decentralized autonomous organization, raised $150 million worth of Ether, which is the cryptocurrency in Ethereum, within a 2-week time frame or something like that. It was incredible fundraising that went on. And obviously, when you get millions of dollars worth of something in one place, there's the chance someone's going to want to take some of it.
The crooks will come around.
So someone came along and they helped themselves to about $50 million worth of the DAO tokens.
As best we can tell, this is not the United States federal government.
Well, there's someone who has claimed to be the hacker who has put out a letter.
True.
And I don't know if you've seen this letter, but I was shown it earlier today. And basically the hacker claims this isn't a hack at all. All he did was use the rules that were built into this new DAO, this DAO system, this decentralized autonomous organization. He just exploited one of the existing rules. He was playing by the book, playing by the system. Now, just because the people who programmed the system might not have intended it to be used that way, or maybe they did, that doesn't mean that he didn't legitimately, in his mind or her mind, get access to these funds. So now, you got again, some are saying this isn't a hack at all. They were just using the system the way it was programmed. And so what's going on is there's a big controversy within the Ethereum cryptocurrency community here where one side is saying, well, look, we didn't intend for the $50 million worth of Ether to be, or DAO tokens, I guess in this case. We didn't intend for this $50 million worth of product to go away in the way that it is going. And so we can fix this by doing what's called a hard fork.
Yep.
Now, in the software world for cryptocurrency, a hard fork is basically a new program, the new version of the same program, basically, that changes things.
They just go back in time, essentially, and start over at a spot they like.
Before the alleged theft would be the time in this particular case. And so there's a proposal on the table to do this hard fork thing, which would reset the $50 million worth of cryptocurrency in this case. It would put it all back to the way it was. They would fix the code. They would fix the problems with the DAO, and voila. Now, the issue here is sort of a purity issue. There's some people who are saying, like Brian Sovereign from Sovereign Tech, I believe, was one of the people saying, ha, told you so. Bitcoin, when Bitcoin faced a similar problem, not exactly the same, but some sort of rip-off or whatever in the past, they just let it go because they felt that it had to stay true to its origins and not just, the community shouldn't just run around and fix things that really they should have fixed before, or basically that sort of using the theft as an example of, hey,
learning opportunity.
Right, you screwed this up. Take the loss and move on with things the way that they are, or fix them in the future.
Yeah, they're not going to do that. When you're talking about the DAO, which is Distributed Autonomous Organization, is that right?
Something like that.
It has this very democratic feel. The democratic, nature in humans is going to say this isn't fair that this guy got $55 million in a hack, and we're going to go back and get this from him. I don't even think that's even worth talking about.
Well,
People aren't going to do that.
The thing is, the programmers of the DAO don't just get to to go back in time and revert things without the consent of the miners in this case. Now, in the cryptocurrency world, the miners of Bitcoin or Ether are people who are putting their computers, graphics cards, things like that, CPUs, to the task of figuring out cryptographic problems and solving them, and thereby they are mining new cryptocurrency into existence. And so in order for the fix, if you will, to be in on this, the miners have to agree. A supermajority, usually, of them, as I understand the rules, would have to agree. So the proposal to go back in time may or may not fly. We don't know right now. Now they've got like 27 days before this guy completely, I guess, loots the system or something like that.
Well, and the guy's claiming he's going to hire a lawyer over this, and that this money is rightfully his.
Well, who's he going to sue? It's an anonymous organization.
He's going to sue
anybody.
Ethereum, I would assume. And I would say that to that, I would say, well, the hard fork is a built-in system, built-in part of the system, too.
Correct.
So
it can be voted. Yeah, he's got no case. A lively debate has begun. This is from Cointelegraph.com. Has begun across Reddit, Twitter, the Dow, Slack channel, and forums. We spoke to three small miners, and all of them seemed in favor of the switchback.
Yeah.
With one of them stating he had no choice but to support the fork. And I suspect that means he's lost some money in this. In an update explaining that both the child and the main DAO will be frozen in a soft fork to be followed by a hard fork to allow funds to be sent to a new smart contract where token holders can withdraw their share. One point that one of the advocates made here is it's important to note that both of these suggested paths forward have a lot of support by the leaders of the Ethereum community and will only affect a small part of the Ethereum blockchain. The main argument against this is a slippery slope argument often advanced by Bitcoin holders. They argue that if Ethereum hard forks to prevent the thief from running with $50 million worth, then they may hard fork to stop drug users next or prevent donations to WikiLeaks. Quote from Adam Back, president of Blockstream, quote, Bitcoin never hard forked. The developers who had funds stuck in empty GOX on principle rejected out of hand even the suggestion of a hard fork to return those funds. The idea to hard fork Ethereum because some users made an ill-advised investment governed by a poorly written smart contract is conflict of interest writ large given coin ownership. The argument against is seemingly further supported by Alex Van Sand, an Ethereum supporter or developer and one of the DAO's curators, who had stated in a public post that he doesn't like the fork proposal and doubts that a hard fork to recover funds will ever happen, nor should it even be technically possible to do it. Some argue the situation is exceptional and the contract is too big to fail. Thus, miners acting as a decentralized jury can deny the thief his ill gains. The further benefit may be that the fork may deter further speculation thefts, as the miner jury may hack the hacker and take back the stolen loot. Allowing the theft to stand is likely to seriously shake confidence in Ethereum, which passed $20 per coin recently. It's now down to around $11. They have surprisingly managed to smooth sail from nothing to a market cap of more than $1.6 billion prior to the hack, finding wide acceptance by established businesses. All of that is likely to be placed in serious jeopardy if this whole concept once more is spectacularly proven to the world to have not been a fully safe and easily stolen digital currency. So what to do, Mark?
I say do the hard fork. The fact is that Bitcoin can claim purity by not having done a hard fork, but I was around for the mybitcoinwallet.com scandal.
Where you and I lost like 40 Bitcoin apiece.
Yeah, 40 Bitcoin. Back when Bitcoin were worth $1 or something.
I think it was like $3.
Whatever it was. The loss was mitigable. But I recall people advocating for the purchasing of hitmen through cryptographic currencies that would allow anonymity, so essentially anonymously hiring hitmen against the owner of the website, and the guy then returned
he coughed up half of
the Bitcoin. So for Bitcoin to claim purity in this is a bunch of baloney. When you're hiring hitmen, a hard fork
Bitcoin didn't hire anyone. Bitcoin is just a program.
The Bitcoin community in that particular area.
You can't say a community
turned
did
the clock
something
back with a threat.
You can't say the community did something just because somebody issued a threat. It's Free Talk Live.
Fellas, are you looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Been fantasizing about surprising your lover with an adventurous new toy or adult movie? Well, here's an offer you won't be able to resist. Go to adamandeve.com, and for a limited time only, you'll get 50% off just about any item. But that's not all. Oh, no. When you select your one item at 50% off, you'll also receive 3 free adult DVDs for a little inspiration. Plus, a free extra gift so sensual, we can't mention it on the radio. And to top it all off, we'll even throw in free shipping on your entire order. And no, we're not teasing. So check out adamandeve.com today for this special offer. Get 50% off one item when you type BABE33 for the offer code upon checkout. When you do, you'll get 3 free DVDs, a free extra gift, and free shipping. Just use offer code BABE33 at adamandeve.com.
Guys, if you've been using or wanting to try Viagra but are worried about the costs, we have great news. Now you can finally get real results at huge discounts with our Healthy Men alternative to the little blue pill. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get results for a fraction of the price? Call today and get 40 pills for only $99. Others cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us if you want real results at the lowest prices. Never pay $15 a pill for Viagra when you can get real results for less than $3 per pill. Call 800-750-7109 today and save over $500. You can have those breathtaking, toe-curling moments again and again. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Call right now and we'll rush you your supply delivered discreetly to your door. Just call 800-750-7109. That's 800-750-7109. Again, 800-750-7109.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's post pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that tenth of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
Help get LRN.FM into more ears. Visit promote.lrn.fm for a free bumper sticker, flyers, banners, graphics, and more. Promote.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can bring up anything you want. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And if you haven't yet, be sure you check out Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree at victimlesscrimespree.com. It's free to watch. Hour-and-a-half long feature-length documentary film about our friend Derek J., who was arrested 5 times in a 1-year time frame here in Keene, New Hampshire. I believe he currently holds the record for activist with most arrests in the shortest amount of time. But it's an entertaining film, and it's free to watch. So go and check it out, victimlesscrimespree.com. You can watch it through YouTube there on the website, victimlesscrimespree.com. The voting on a poll on the Cointelegraph website on the question of should Ethereum which is the second most popular cryptocurrency in the world right now by
behind
market
Bitcoin.
cap. Yeah, behind Bitcoin, and I don't know ahead of what, I don't know, but ahead of hundreds of other cryptocurrencies.
Ahead of Litecoin right now.
Anyway, there's a poll here that asks, should Ethereum hard fork? Should they go back in time to rescue $50 million worth of cryptocurrency from an alleged thief who basically, the thief claims he's no thief, that he just used the system of this new decentralized autonomous organization and the rules as they were written to funnel $50 million worth of Ethereum or DAO tokens or whatever it was. I'm not really clear what exactly he's funneling around out of this system. They can go back in time with the consent of enough of the Ethereum miners and reset this thing. They can take that guy's ill-gotten gains, his alleged ill-gotten gains, away from him or her and just start over. And the question is, should they? Mark, you said they should.
I think they should. Yeah. First off, I consider the slippery slope argument to be a fallacy. Not that I won't use it when I'll use fallacies when it benefits me, but I don't. This is the justification of a $55 million theft. I'm just not interested in that.
But is it a theft, or is it somebody just working the system?
Yeah. So there was exploiting a mistake. Yes.
Uh-huh. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. Maybe this person is the person who programmed the DAO in the first place, and they're just taking their profits. Or whatever you want to call it.
You don't call that a theft?
That's definitely scammy for sure.
Yeah, it was done under fraudulent terms. The people who invested didn't
fraudulent? Wait a minute. Hold on. When I put a little bit of money into this, you suggested I threw a little something into the DAO thing, and I did that. When I did that, they showed me all the code for this DAO. This DAO is a publicly available system of code, basically. It's like programming code that explains how this decentralized autonomous organization will work. And please stop me if I'm being confusing or obtuse on this. I realize we're talking about completely new ideas here that most of our listeners have no idea.
Yeah, but we're trying to bring it down so people can understand.
I'm trying my best to make this understandable. So the code, the instructions for how this decentralized autonomous organization would run, we're all right there for anyone who wanted to read them. I looked down and I said, "Oh, this looks like programming code. I don't want to take the time to read this." Just like people don't want to read the terms and conditions of those long agreements when you click onto some new software or website or something like that. No one wants to read that crap. And so I went into this thinking, okay, I'm going to spend a little bit of ether here. I'm going to get some of these DAO tokens, and I understand that tomorrow they could all be gone because this could be a scam. I knew that going into this. Like, I'm not going to take the time to vet this thing. I know that there are some people who think this is a good idea. I'm going to take their word for it as experts and get some of this based on just the idea of this decentralized autonomous organization. I liked the idea of it, and so that's why I got behind it. But I knew that I could lose every little bit that I put into it. I knew that was the case when I got into it, and I did not take the time to read the code. So had I had the programming chops and went through and read the code,
if you could have read the code,
then I could have, in theory, found the same problem.
That's like
that this other
lawyers saying, "Well, if you don't know the law, ignorance of the law is no excuse." I'm sorry to say that if you can't read the terms of service, that the terms of service are then invalid.
But you don't have any valid claim to money that you put up when you didn't even read the agreement.
I'm sorry, man. Do you want my opinion? My opinion is turn back the clock and reset
You don't get to... Okay, I understand where you're coming from, and this is a big debate, but if you get into an agreement, a business agreement with somebody, and you hand over your money to that person and you say, "Oh, no, it's okay. I don't really want to read that contract." And you hand over the money to the person, if the contract says we get to do whatever we want with your money, and that includes put it into our bank account and never talk to you again, well, guess what? You don't get to go to the court and say, "Hey, I need to get that money back over here. They promised me that I was going to get X, Y, and Z, and I didn't know they were just going to take my money." Well, it says right here in the contract. What's
but
that?
I don't like that.
What's that? You didn't read the contract? Well, too flipping bad. Now, look, I actually agree with you, Mark, on this. I think that the miners should probably go ahead and vote for this because I believe it was probably a mistake, not likely something the programmers originally intended for this to happen, and the system is built to where people can do this legitimately. It's a legitimate use of the blockchain system to go back and redo like this. I can understand the arguments of people who are arguing against that in this sort of this purity argument, like, oh, well, you got to let it go. You made a mistake. But part of the system is allowing to correct these mistakes with enough consent of the miners, and they may not have enough. So right now, the vote on Cointelegraph, it's an unscientific poll on a Bitcoin cryptocurrency website. It's 51% saying yes, do the hard fork, go back in time, reset things. 49% are saying no. Now, those are just readers of a website. What are the miners actually going to decide to do? Because I believe they're going to need 75% of the miners. You're going to need a supermajority of the miners to make this decision. That may not come to pass. I mean, in the Bitcoin universe, there's this big controversy behind the scenes about the block size. Without getting into detail, it has something to do with how many transactions per whatever can be sort of calculated within the Bitcoin system. And a larger block size would allow for more transactions per minute or second or however often it is. And so there's a good argument to increase the block size, in my opinion. We've looked at this debate on the air here on Free Talk Live. There is a really good, strong argument to increase the block size. But right now, the miners aren't voting for it. So that proposed hard fork, dead in the water. And the people who are proposing this hard fork were two of the largest, most influential programmers in the Bitcoin ecosystem. Gavin Andreessen, one of the listeners of this show, was one of the people proposing this hard fork. He created this Bitcoin Classic program that he tried to get people, the miners, to run. There were like 1,000 or so at one point, but they've dropped off the radar. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's over for Bitcoin Classic. You look at the numbers, they're dropping. It's going down. So I don't know if they're going to be able to make it, even though I think they probably, I agree with you, Mark, they probably should go back in time. I don't know if they're going to. It would take a lot of people to agree to that.
Yeah.
And they may not. So we'll watch this as it continues to develop. You can join us here toll free. We got John. He's in Nevada. Go ahead. You're on Skype.
Hi, guys. You've had Will Coley on the show many times as a sort of expert on Islam, and I've always found his theology to be admirably benign. But last Wednesday on Free Talk Live, he told a monstrous story about Muhammad's participation in the stoning death of an adulterer. And I think it calls into question Will's judgment about what constitutes a peaceful and forgiving religion. Do you guys remember the story?
Stand by. Let's talk about it with you here in moments. Yeah, we'll talk more about that story. And the toll-free number for you to join us here, whether it's cryptocurrency, Muslims, the draft. These are some of the things we've discussed so far tonight. You can also bring up anything that's on your mind at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
There is an affordable alternative to the high cost of healthcare that offers freedom from insurance while providing compliance with the Obamacare mandate. Imagine having access to quality, affordable healthcare that allows you the freedom to choose your doctor and hospital. Members can share up to 100% of necessary medical expenses, including alternative treatments. Find out how you and your family can contain healthcare costs without giving up your freedom. Go to libertyoncall.org. That's libertyoncall.org.
Worried about lead, fluoride, and other contaminants in your drinking water? Get a ProPure with the Pro 1G 2.0 cleanable reusable filter and remove up to 200 contaminants. Drink water the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. See the complete line of ProPure products, including the new ProMax shower filter. There's a ProPure for you. Visit your authorized ProPure dealer for details or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Friday, gold is $15 higher at $1,293 per ounce. Silver is 27 cents higher at $17.49 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $742 US. Robertson Roberts Brokerage has been helping clients buying and selling precious metals for nearly 40 years. For more information, give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends radio show. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgoristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agorist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers, and some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agorist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any tomfoolery. So go with AgoristHosting.com. And if you want to get your foot in the door with decentralized marketplaces, Agorist Hosting is now offering Open Bazaar hosting. Go to agoristhosting.com, click on the button that says Get Hosted. Agorist Hosting, that's AGORIST hosting.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
It's Free Talk Live. Join us on the air. Toll free, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We have Skype as well. At Skype username LRN.FM. With you tonight, Ian here.
And Mark.
And we're going to go back to Skype, where John is on the line in Nevada. John, you're calling about a story that Will Coley had told. He's one of the guys from Muslims for Liberty. That's Muslims4liberty.org. On the air with us the other night in response to a question about stonings and, to how these things were handled back in the day. And the story, if I'm recalling correctly, was a woman who had been adulterous, I think it was, and had come to Muhammad seeking some sort of punishment for her adultery, and he basically said, look, don't worry about it.
No, he said, to go take care of the child, essentially. And
that he didn't want to, move towards punishment on that, just like move along with your life. And she insisted, apparently, and so...
Over the course of years.
Okay, I missed that point.
Well, she went and nursed her child.
I see.
Yeah.
So she insisted, and eventually he begrudgingly gave her a trial, which did result in her being stoned. Was it to death?
No, well, you don't get stoned. You don't get partially stoned.
Yeah. So that was what you were referring to. Go ahead with your thoughts.
Okay. So Will went on to explain how Islam is all about the forgiveness, which kind of raises the question of how stoning this woman to death was ever on the table in the first place. And if you consider the position of Muhammad, we can talk about, well, this is the way things were done with back in the day. But if Will followed Muhammad's example today and convicted this woman and handed her over for death, presumably you'd have a pretty big problem with that. That wouldn't seem quite right, would it?
Yeah, no, I don't think that people should be put to death if they haven't actually harmed anyone else. I'm generally against the death penalty, period. But I'm not a Muslim, so I don't follow Sharia law, and it doesn't apply to me.
Nor would I uphold any particular prophet as infallible, besides John in Nevada. So I don't consider Muhammad to be infallible. I just think that when Will Coley explains his sort of version of Islam, I find it interesting that it's so much different than what you hear on the news and from the demagogues and things like that.
Sure, it's different, but it's also, I mean, I find it troubling that he could tell that story and not offer any judgment. Well, there was obviously something wrong done here. On the contrary, the way he tells the story, the only things that were done wrong was maybe this woman was a little bit too insistent about being judged, and some people trash talked her afterwards. But there was nothing wrong with stoning her to death.
Well, if it's your belief system that you should be beaten for your perceived wrongs in life, then you should be able to have that belief system.
That's exactly wrong. So if Muhammad is a person who was touched by God, inspired by God, words from God, or at least the angel Gabriel is we're to understand, then he had the opportunity. This is God speaking, right? God had the opportunity to change the course of mankind and say, you know what? Killing somebody because of an indiscretion like adultery, which basically comes with its own punishments, especially having a child out of wedlock, comes with its own punishments, is wrong, and we shouldn't be doing that. It'd be like me saying, and I do say this on a regular basis, if Jesus would have just chimed in and said, hey, slavery's wrong, and it had been really, really clear on that. Owning your brother or your neighbor or your sister is wrong. Then we would have had the course of human history would have changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I simply am attempting to hold Muhammad at some level to the same level that I'm willing to hold Jesus, which is to say I feel that there was a failure and that these are fallible humans.
Yeah, 700 years ago, there was a guy named Jesus who said, let he among you who is without
700?
sin throw... Yeah, 700 years earlier, I think.
700
Muhammad.
years earlier. Yeah, about 600 and something. Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. He said, let he among you who is without sin throw the first stone.
Yeah.
And that seems to me like a way better answer than, she asked for it.
I agree.
I see where you're coming from, but it's not my business. If somebody has a religion that they want to flagellate themselves, they want to beat themselves, and they believe that they get closer to God when they have pain or whatever, or death, I mean, that's their choice. They should be able to be free to have that choice. It's not for me.
Okay, so
I don't agree with it personally.
Well, if someone asked Mark, please stone me to death because I committed adultery, would it be okay for Mark to say, sure, here you go?
It's none of my business, so I don't think it's okay. I don't think it's okay.
That's how Ian answers all of these things.
I don't think it's okay. I wouldn't perform that act personally because I don't believe violence solves problems. But if somebody wants to
go
hire,
ahead and say it's wrong.
I'm sorry, it's not wrong for somebody to go and hire a dominatrix to beat them if that's what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong for the dominatrix to be hired for that purpose. It's not something I would do, but it's none of my business.
Okay. Well, the other thing I wanted to address is that you said, Sharia law doesn't apply to me. And I think that's fine. I don't think Sharia law really does apply to you. But from the evidence I'm seeing, there are hundreds of millions of Muslims who do think Sharia law applies to non-Muslims. And Will kind of glosses over this when he's talking. He says, well, the imams I talk to or the teachers I talk to say, no, it doesn't. But that doesn't change the fact that there are hundreds of millions of Muslims who do believe this. And so when you're talking about bringing Sharia law to America, you have to take into account what hundreds of millions of Muslims think. And from this poll from the Pew Research Center I pieced it together like Egypt alone, say, which has 80 million Muslims. Well, about 2/3 of those Muslims, over 50 million, believe that Muslims should be executed for leaving the faith, and about half of them, about 40 million, believe that Sharia law applies to non-Muslims. And so these are pretty big things to consider when you talk about bringing Sharia law here. You can't just look at Will's explanation of what Sharia law is and assume that these hundreds of millions of Muslims wouldn't have an effect on that in America.
I'm more disturbed by the higher percentage of Muslims that believe in Egypt, that believe that people should be killed for leaving the faith, than I am of people that believe that the lower number, about half. I'm surprised only half of the people in Egypt believe that Sharia law should be enforced on non-Muslims. It's actually the fact that you can't leave an organization
That's bad.
Is disturbing as hell.
Well, it's not uncommon for cults and things like that to make it difficult for a member to leave through ostracism or whatever. But, I wish we had more time for this discussion tonight, John, but we're not going to. There's a story from the Foundation for Economic Education. Now, they're looking at Muslims in the United States specifically, and it says here that Muslim Americans are more likely to reject violence than many groups in America. So, again, maybe there's a pretty significant difference between Muslims in America versus Muslims in Egypt. Regardless, I appreciate the call tonight. Thanks for making it. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. I've got this marked as show prep. Hopefully we can get into it maybe tomorrow night or something like that. It's an important story, and it deserves more than 2 minutes.
I think people could legitimately step in and prevent an execution for somebody attempting to leave a faith. And so if people can legitimately step in, you're essentially talking about a holy war.
Toll-free number, 855-450-FREE. Let's continue with your calls and thoughts. We got Dick in Wisconsin listening to WCLO out of Janesville. Hey, Dick.
How you doing?
Welcome. You're on the air.
Hey, listen, the thing with the Muslims, Sharia 925 in their Quran says to kill infidels, Jews, and Christians. And so, and the only way they get to heaven is commit jihad. But Jews and Muslims...
That sounds like a misunderstanding.
You're going to need to go back and read the Quran.
Yeah, that sounds like a huge misunderstanding. Hang on, Dick. We can continue the discussion here.
Ian's actually read it from start to finish.
In moments. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. The reality is Muslims, Muhammad and his crew lived alongside Christians and Jews, and there was sort of like these...
And Zoroastrians.
And there were kind of... They all had their own rules, basically, for their own societies and their own religious beliefs. They were all sort of mutually respected. So there's a particular propaganda piece that Dick is talking about here, and then there's, from what I understand, what really happened. This is Free Talk Live. Join us.
Get a pen and get ready for an important announcement. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, OIC Tax can help. Our retired IRS agents, tax attorneys, and CPAs are fighting for you. That's what we do here at OIC Tax. We help you survive after the IRS has come knocking. OIC Tax can help you with IRS hardship programs, offer in compromise, installment agreements, and the preparation of past and current tax returns. OIC Tax offers convenient representation for small businesses, corporations, W-2 wage earners, and even SBA loans in default. So stop waiting. Get a fresh start. Call OIC Tax at 1-800-314-4491 now. Bank levies, wage garnishments, and property seizures can be devastating to your life. OIC Tax has an A rating from the Better Business Bureau and is registered with the IRS as an e-file provider. Let OIC Tax help you. 1-800-314-4491. 1-800-314-4491. That's 1-800-314-4491.
It's about time something new came along for better selling and buying online. And I found it.
What now, Marge?
It's buysellmakeoffer.com.
Never heard of it.
It's a brand new company. That's why you've never heard of it. It's the newest and best way to sell any products online. I did all the research.
Sell my car?
Yes.
Our home?
Yep.
My golf bag?
Your golf clubs. All of them.
How about your purse collection hoard?
Hey, now.
You said any product.
You're right. I did. We get 30 days free.
Really?
Packages starting from only $7.95. And buysellmakeoffer.com will never charge item fees, ever. Never. And this is cool. Listen to this. You can even use Skype or video to show your items.
That's cool.
Yes. All we have to do is go to the website, sign up, and then load our stuff to sell. I love this site.
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. You got it?
Buysellmakeoffer.com.
Buysellmakeoffer.com. Better selling, better buying.
An alarming new study finds that people suffering from stress-related disorders react poorly to being trapped in underwater elevators. A tired 398-month-old throws a tantrum, and a little clay thing is purchased at an arts festival. And now an eerily perfect recap of this week's news. The Catholic Church reversed its long-held stance against gay marriage this week after meeting Connecticut couple Tony and Craig. The vacationing pair dazzled the Pope and assorted clergy with their witty conversation and true loving affection for each other, leading Vatican officials to conclude that love is love and it's silly to put restrictions on it in this day and age. The Chinese people announced that they would be willing to forgive most of the United States' $1.16 trillion debt if Americans agreed to dress up in costumes and perform silly dances for them. Chinese officials encouraged U.S. citizens to wear sequined vests and prance around while while slapping their big fat American tummies, promising that the more humiliating the performance, the more debt will be erased. In sports, NASCAR fans are deeply puzzled by a mysterious black family seen attending multiple races.
This is the Onion News Network.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate us 5 stars, then share the link on your social media and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm.
Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org.
You can sign up to receive the latest about the Liberty Radio Network via our email updates at updates.lrn.fm. That's updates.lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. Moments remain here, but enough time for you. If you join us at 855-450-FREE, that's 855-450-3733. With you tonight, it's Ian.
And Mark.
And you can join us online. Just drop by freetalklive.com. Please enjoy the features that are waiting for you on our website. You can actually contribute directly to our efforts to spread the ideas of freedom as far and as wide as possible by becoming a Free Talk Live amplifier at amp.freetalklive.com. You go there, get signed up with any major credit card through PayPal or Visa or MasterCard. Right there on our website, and you'll get access to the AMP-only perks like the AMP-only call-in lines, the AMP-only Facebook group, and the AMP-only podcast, and more. But you'll also help us spread the ideas of liberty by getting on new radio stations around the country and getting new satellite signals on around the globe. You can help us out over at amp.freetalklive.com. Please, it makes a big difference when you do. Go to amp.freetalklive.com. As we go back to Dick in Wisconsin, listening to WCLO. Dick, you trotted out some of the old canards about...
I didn't really call to talk about the Muslims. I hope they all find Jesus and get saved. But I wanted to talk about what's going on with Europe. They all have negative...
I'm happy to talk about Europe with you, but you did bring up some allegations about what you believe to be quotes from the Quran, which, of course, were taken dramatically out of context. I just wanted to clarify, and then you can go on about Europe for just a moment.
Okay.
There are, the full passages from the Quran that you are referring to are discussing how Muslims should handle being attacked. And basically, if Muslims are being attacked, they have the right to defend themselves. They have the right to stop the attackers. But as soon as the attackers repent and stop their attack, Muslims are instructed to no longer fight against them, to let them go.
I didn't know that. Okay, so I thank you for that, and thank you for clarifying that.
Yep.
Now, what's happening in Europe is really interesting. All their 10-year notes have negative interest rates.
Yep.
Deutsche Bank's value has been falling through the floor. They're responsible for $71 trillion in credit derivatives. Our banks, our top 5 banks, are responsible for like $150 trillion. If all the banks are hooked together, when Deutsche Bank falls, all of our other banks will feel it. Now, what's interesting is October, the IMF is supposed to have a new currency, a new world currency, and we're supposed to lose our world reserve status. If that happens, then we can.
You think that would be news? I haven't heard anything like that claim. I mean,
go look it up. Go look up.
I will.
Currency reset. And they don't a lot of things they don't want people to know. Anyways, if that happens, we could have martial law. There are 800 FEMA camps, 30,000 guillotines all ready to go.
30,000 guillotines.
Guillotines, yeah. Go look it up. Let's pray none of this
interesting
happens.
claim.
But,
they're bringing back the guillotine.
You know that the only thing of value on the planet is real estate and human labor. If you destroy all that human labor, you're going to really devalue the whole planet. And these
Look
people...
up guillotines and Obamacare. You'll find that interesting. You'll find out that guillotines is an acceptable form of execution. It's like Section 978 or 778. I know it's got a 78 on the end.
Okay.
But
hey, thanks, Dick, for your call tonight. I don't know what else to say about that. Yeah. Maybe he's right. Maybe Obamacare and its 900 or whatever pages has a section on guillotines. Who knows? It could be true.
The thing is how much time do I have to spend looking for it to find it out?
Look it up.
Well,
Henry in Alabama.
I can't look it up. My keyboard's
You're on
not working.
Free Talk Live, listening to WAVH in Mobile. Hey, Henry.
Yes, you guys, I really think the female draft was kind of put out there as just in jest of the women's rights for everything else. But something's going on that I think is really more tragic than that. Is after the Orlando shooting, they're now proposing that if you put on a no-fly list, you give up your Second Amendment rights. With no due process, they can just say, okay, one guy put you on a no-fly list, then we're going to take your Second Amendment rights back, and you have no way to contest it. Just like if you put on a no-fly list, as it is now, you don't have any way to say, no, wait a minute, you got me messed up. I'm not that person. And you have no due process rights.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're driving at here.
Well, there's the proposal out there is that the people that are on the no-fly list shouldn't be able to purchase weapons, and I think that
oh, really?
Yeah, and it makes a certain amount of sense until you start looking back when liberals used to be against the no-fly list and people being put on
when it was a George Bush list.
Yeah, when it was a George Bush list, it was fine and dandy. It was a terrible idea to put people on lists without due process and that sort of thing. But when you're talking about getting rid of scary black rifles, and that's basically what the proposals are here is on the table is scary black rifles. The AR-15, for those of you out there who want to ban AR-15s, go Google AR-15 versus 30-06. A 30-06 is a hunting round that you use to shoot deer. And AR-15 is a round that is used in military weapons, and it is also used in the AR-15, which is a civilian weapon.
Did you know that there was, in the Orlando shooting, it was not an AR-15, that it was a Sig Sauer MXK?
Right.
Yeah, okay. But it doesn't matter. I mean,
facts don't matter. You're right. I mean, in this debate, facts are just thrown out of the window. You can't debate gun control, frankly, with facts. Gun control is all about fear.
May I give you a parallel?
Yes.
It's just like if you tease in public 20 years ago and they come back and label you as a sex offender. Okay, you don't have any way in the world to go say, no, that didn't happen. It was I pled underneath this and so forth. You don't have any way to bring that back to court. Just like if they just say, okay, we're going to name you as a terrorist, or we're going to name you as put you on a no-fly list. You have no recourse, no due process right to bring that in the court for a member of your peers. And that's what it's gotten down to. Just by pronouncement, which is a direct violation of Article 1, Section 9 and 3. You can't just pronounce somebody guilty of a crime.
Henry, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Mike is on the line in Indiana listening to WIBC. Hello, Mike.
Hey.
Hey, what's on your mind tonight?
I'm a former soldier, U.S. Army, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But I just want to say quick, and then I want to hang up, that I helped deliver some of the guillotines about 3 years ago. Also, helped deliver some coffins that hold 3 deep. Recently, just finished with a couple of hundred, actually more than a couple of hundred Bradley fighting vehicles to Chicago, along with another 500,000 coffins.
So you're claiming that you personally have delivered guillotines.
I oversaw the deliveries.
Uh-huh.
Well, I can tell you that PolitiFact.com claims that the guillotine within Obamacare is they've rated it pants on fire, as in a lie.
It's a lie, huh? Well, now, you could be lying too, Mike. Obviously, you're just a guy calling a radio station.
But Anyway, so
can you give any kind of facts?
Where did you deliver
them? Where do I got to watch out for to get my head lopped off?
They're all over. I mean, the deliveries are done everywhere.
And how many of them? How many guillotines did you facilitate?
I only dealt with a few thousand, but the
thousands of guillotines. Come on, man.
Okay, I mean,
where are they being delivered to? Military bases?
Look it up.
Jails?
Look it up.
We're not going to look it up. There's a bunch of crap when you look this up. I mean, the number one result is beforeitsnews.com. Not exactly.
Conspiracy site.
Yeah, it's a conspiracy website. Oh, and the headline here is even better. Thanks for the call, Mike. Here's the headline from Before It's News. 30,000 guillotines, 800 FEMA camps, and 15,000 Russian troops. What's going on? Obamacare code ICD 9E978. Execution by guillotine 666. Mark of the beast. That's the headline.
Yeah. Sounds like some of the ads that come on the radio.
Jeez.
I remember in 1995 having a conversation with a guy who's like, hey, they've got Russian troops doing some maneuvers in Ohio. And they may very well have had some people coming over from Russia to do some training with the United States military. Training goes on all the time between militaries. And it's a good idea for organizations to talk to each other. That way they're less likely to shoot at each other. So, but I mean, that doesn't mean that American citizens are going to be held. This thing gets trotted out every 3 years, ladies and gentlemen. It hasn't happened yet.
The suggestion here is that the Russian troops will be used to oppress American people
because they're willing to shoot.
Well, as though American troops wouldn't shoot Americans, and we know for a fact that some of them absolutely would. That during the Hurricane Katrina debacle, afterwards. There was National Guardsmen that were in the streets. They were interviewed by ABC News, and when explicitly asked if you would shoot an American, the kid said yes. And he's not the only one who would follow those orders. Now, some of them wouldn't, but some certainly would. And we're out of time for tonight. But we'll be back tomorrow, and you can join us online in the meantime over at freetalklive.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippie! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadati.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com. Free Talk Live has partnered with Amazon, the largest internet retailer. Imagine a department store category, and Amazon has it. Books, electronics, office products, furniture, jewelry, automotive, toys, clothing, sporting goods, and dozens of other categories. Now you can shop and support Free Talk Live by entering Amazon through our website. Go to shop.freetalklive.com, and Amazon will send us a portion of your purchase. You're going to do the